Gerald, thank you for that. Up next, we have Stephen G. If you'd go ahead and unmute yourself, we'd love to have your question for Gerald. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stephen. I just wanted to say thank you so much to Real Health or Real Truth for this wonderful conference. It's very powerful. And Gerald, I find your research to be very powerful and very critical. I just wanted to share with you in the audience today that I'm participating here today from London, Ontario in Canada, and I'm literally 3 or 4 blocks away from the house where Dr. Frederick Banting discovered insulin in his bed in the middle of the night in a eureka moment. It's actually it's a national historical building now, and it's so significant in our country's medical history that the country's medical hall of fame is just located down the street. My question is, Dr. Frederick Banting sold the patent to insulin to the University of Toronto for $1 in trust that the university would protect it. I was shocked and horrified to hear Bernie in the election talk about what's happened to insulin in the United States. And I was wondering, Gerald, if you could just comment a little bit about how does this happen? And does a university like U of T, which is publicly funded in Canada, our largest university, but increasingly is subject to the forces of corporatization every day, how is it, does U of T sell the patent to fund important medical research? And then what happens for us to be in this situation like this?
Yeah, no, Stephen, it's a great question. It's one of the things that's happened is the financial pressure has even formed, not just, I think, the university there, but you'll see it at Oxford, you'll see it at Harvard and Yale and other institutions in which their researchers have been involved in getting a patent that is assigned to the school and then becomes so profitable that everybody's able to justify its use to license it to pharmaceutical companies to be able to maximize its profit, because they say, of course, the money's coming back to fund further research or to help the institution. And that is true. Dr. Banting, I'm sure, would turn over in his grave if he knew how it had been commercialized. And there are unique aspects of what's happened in the United States in terms of insulin, so that Americans, for the most part, if I stopped 10 people down the street and asked them about insulin and said, who do you think invented it? They would say some American somewhere, because it's marketed so heavily as this American product. They don't even realize it was a Canadian invention. And that's due in large part to Lilly. Lilly understood how to game the system. What I mean by that is when they got the original distribution rights, that extended for that period of the patent, even under American protection, for no more than 15 to 17 years. Got it in the 1920s, and yet Lilly held that right for more than 40 years exclusively, kept everyone out of the market in the US. How was that possible? It's possible because of the way that the patent system here in the US is also gamed by the pharmaceutical companies. They make small adjustments to their product, and that happens from insulin on through OxyContin, in which they can claim some new development to the drug, and it doesn't have to be better therapy. It can be in the way the drug is administered. So if you needed to take insulin twice a day, let's say, beforehand in an injection, if they can bring it to once a day, they have just extended their patent for an entire new time. And Lilly was able to sort of do this for a 40-year period. And then once the floodgates opened up and it became a more generic product, why is insulin so expensive today? Because of shortages of the production. Synthetic insulins are available for the first time in terms of biotechnology. I talk about how those come in. They have a separate set of patents that apply to it. And insulin is sort of a classic story. I'm glad you brought it up in terms of how a great discovery of a drug, similar to penicillin with the British, later comes to be manipulated through the American system for profits at the forefront. And one quick sideline, I'm sorry, but just to mention, in penicillin, for instance, the British researchers had discussed whether they should put a patent on it in England before they brought it to America. And they decided, no, that would be terrible. Why should we do that? This should be for the public good. They didn't do it. Once they brought it to America, although there was no patent on the drug, American pharmaceutical companies are clever when it comes to making money. they put through what they call use patents. So they came up with better ways to ferment, better ways to speed up the manufacturing process, ways to get larger capacities of drugs with fewer rejections along the line. They would get a patent on that. So a few years after the war ended, the British, who had invented the drug, had given it to us for free, were paying money to make it because of the American use patents. That was really a touch of adding salt to the wound.